Good afternoon, everyone. Always fun to be here, and always nice to have Kelly say such nice things about me. And we have many distinguished guests here, and I just wanted to point out a couple of them: Jill Liffer, and Regina Glocker, and Kirsten Gillibrand, and Tina Brown, all with us today. Thank you. And I wanted to thank all of you for supporting NARAL Pro-Choice New York and the National Institute for Reproductive Health. And I'm delighted to be joining and saluting the spiritual leaders who are really the true champions of choice. Rabbi Robert Levine, where are you? There you are. Just before I came in, I met him in the men's room. So just goes to... A lot of business is done in men's room, ladies. Trust me. That's about the only thing that you can do. Anyways, his latest book is What God Can Do for You Now. And Rabbi, if you could include, and the next time you rewrite this, a chapter on balancing the city's budget. It would be, we could use some divine help there. Today we are commemorating a key event in the struggle for choice. And I wanted to bring it to you, tell you a little bit about it. The historic decriminalization of abortion in our state, which took place 40 years ago this month. And yes. And so as we honor today's champions of choice, we should remember the champions of the past who made that victory possible. And I want to describe to you one of the champions back then. This was a man, the late George Michaels, who was for 10 years a New York State Assembly member from the Finger Lakes area. And while his name may be unfamiliar to most people in this room today, I think his courageous example has lessons for all of us, not just in the battle for choice, but in an awful lot of the things we do. George Michaels personally favored a woman's right to choose, but he was willing to, as they say, go along to get along with the Democratic Party leaders back home. So twice in the spring of 1970, he voted against decriminalizing abortion, and twice that bill narrowly lost. But a third vote was being tallied on April 9th of that year, and he realized that the reform bill was doomed if he didn't act. George Michaels was a very brave man, a former Marine and a decorated combat veteran of World War II. And he showed his bravery that day as well. News accounts say that his hands trembled on the microphone as he spoke, but his words were firm. "I realize, Mr. Speaker," he said, "that I am terminating my political career, but I cannot, in good conscience, sit here and allow my vote to be the one that defeats this bill. I ask that my vote be changed from no to yes." And it was. And the bill passed and went on to become law. Now, George Michaels was right. What he did that day doomed him politically. He ran, but he never held elective office again. But because of that agonizing choice he made then, thousands of women have been spared even more agonizing choices that might have put their own lives at risk. His courage is all the proof, I think, that anyone should ever need in our democracy that each vote really does count. Each vote matters in our legislators. Every vote matters on the courts, especially on the nation's highest court, which is why we must all work to ensure that one of the great champions of choice, Justice John Paul Stevens, is succeeded by someone who is just as strongly committed to upholding Roe v. Wade. And it's a good lesson for all of us as well. Each of our votes matters in every election at every level of government, and that includes New York City government, where it is and will remain as long as I am mayor, city policy to defend a woman's right to choose. And yes. And to promote policies that ensure the reproductive health of women at every level of income across our city. It is their right, and we will always protect it. And I will say that I always get frustrated when people say, well, we just can't address that issue today because it's not politically popular, whether it's immigration reform or getting rid of guns on the streets or finding a ways to keep this country from going bankrupt with a healthcare system that we can't afford. Courage is about standing up and doing what you believe. And weakness is not being able to look at yourself in a mirror before you go to bed tonight. I hope we all realize which end is right. And I can just tell you, we will fight the battle in this city, and I will try to fight the battle across this country. Women should have the right to choose. God bless.